I think. All right. Here we go, redirecting. Oh, come on. Where are we? Do you see us live?
Yeah, I see us on the Facebook.
Oh.
On the
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good, good. How you doing, Wrestling World? I'm here. I'm here live with five-time Florida State champ Kyle Norstrem. He's also a NCAA qualifier. He's also a two-time top 5 finisher at Super 32. He's also twice made our cadet world team. He's now a college student at Virginia Tech, and we have had his brother on before. And now we have him on. So how are you, sir? How you doing? Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. And talk about how this pandemic has kind of put kind of a stall on things and what you've been doing to get through it. And other than that, what's happening?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's awesome. I was just doing classes. Everything was online. I stayed up at Virginia Tech when the classes were online. It just made it easier to focus on school. But other than that, everything else has been great. Just got home, I think, last Sunday. And so I've just been hanging out at home, not really doing much. There's not really much to do. I went to the beach and that was packed. So, but other than that, it's just been a really relaxed week so far.
That's awesome. So nice. Good to see the beaches kind of back open and things like that. That's got to make people happy.
Oh, there was over hundreds of people at the beach that were not really following any rules, and it was pretty funny because cops were walking around breaking people up, and then they would break up for like 5 minutes and then all huddle back together. So it was an interesting thing to live through, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of they were showing pictures and videos on social media. So going into the quarantine, we shut off like direct TV and stuff, the live TV, because we realized we're always watching, Amazon or Netflix or using our things. So I really don't have much live that I see on TV, but I get it a lot on social media. And I was seeing all the beaches packed, like people were posting like, whoa, like what's going on? So definitely starting to see the world open back up, and that's a great thing, So other than that, let's talk a little bit about you had a tremendous career from high school and then starting out at Virginia Tech. But talk about coming out of that legendary program down here in Florida, Brandon, and wrestling for a Florida legend in Cozart. From what I've heard and what I understand, he's one hell of a coach. And talk about him and what he's meant to you and your career and kind of wrestling for a guy like that.
Yeah, wrestling for Brandon is probably one of the most it's been the nicest things I've probably ever have done. I've known Cozart since I was practically 2 years. I mean, I don't remember knowing him, but my brother, started wrestling when he was 5, and so I was 2. And my parents would just take me with them to go to wrestling practice, and I would just be crawling around on the mats, not doing anything. But so Cozart's known me since I was in diapers till now. So coming up in that program, I never changed clubs. I never did anything. I always stayed committed to Cozart. He's just an unbelievable coach. A lot of people don't really see it because of his he's really stern, but because he likes to see you work hard and see the results yourself. He's not going to sit there and walk you through every little thing. He wants you to develop as your own character and become the better person by yourself. And that's why I'm so grateful to have that opportunity. I was raised around Eric Rahales, all those guys, and oh man, who is this guy?
We got a visitor for you.
Oh man.
Hey!
Your mic's muted.
Sorry, what's going on, gentlemen?
What's up?
Telling us about wrestling for Coach Cozart and what he's meant to you guys as wrestlers and him. So that's where we're at. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day. Is that vodka?
A little too much last night.
Well, wrestling world, we have the other half of the Norstrem legends here. So go ahead, man. Sorry, I saw I saw him logging in, so I thought
Oh no, it's fine.
Yeah, keep going.
It's probably better, but I was just explaining how great it was to wrestle for Cozart, and just like how growing up and going through the kids club, we were able to see so many kids like Erica Hollis and stuff like that, and Rossi Bruno, kids that we kind of, especially my brother, people that I looked up to, go and succeed, and it's it kind of puts little footprints in front of you, but you want to create your own. So like I always wanted to. I still remember this. There's an interview out there of Kevin and of me and Kevin, and the one thing that I said was, I always want to one up him one way. So it's like there's always one thing that I knew every single season that we started that I had to do to beat him. And I didn't accomplish a lot of those goals, but my senior year I did, but that's probably because I took about half the year off due to an injury, but he had a lot tougher schedule than my senior year.
So going back to the Cozart thing a little bit, I get this question a lot, is why, what made and what makes Russ, such an effective coach, for so many years. And the thing is, no one ever got special treatment, right? The way there was no anybody really doing their own thing. Everybody was on the same schedule. You might have had one or two parents kind of running the business, but Russ was the guy running practices, scheduling workouts, that kind of stuff. So, and we were always all on the same schedule. We never really had people strain off to go do other things with other teams. There was none of that, because one, there was at that point in time, there really wasn't anybody as, it might sound a little pretentious to say, but there wasn't as many people to train with that would have given us a go. So we stayed together for X amount of years and we never strayed. Every practice everybody was always there. So, everyone nowadays, I think the problem is running into trying to run around and find special treatment and to find different ways to one up even people on your own team. And it's weird to me because the way we all got so good is just every single practice, every single workout, it was always the same group, and you grew together. It wasn't trying to be the man on your team, you trying to go elsewhere to get better than your own teammates. It was always, you kind of wanted the ships to rise with the tide kind of thing.
Yeah, you guys, it was all for one and one for all, right?
That's it. The team came first always.
Oh yeah.
So, well, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of just, I've gotten a little bit smarter since I talked to you, Kevin, on some things. So one thing I have heard was he is one of those guys that is probably very underappreciated in wrestling in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, and he's underappreciated because he's very humble, and frankly, he doesn't, he wants to help as many people as he can. Russ is one of the most down to earth people you ever meet. And if people don't like him, then he doesn't care. He's gonna wake up, go for his run, go for his lift, coach us, and do the same thing he's been doing for the last 30, 40 years. So and he's always looking out for the kids' best interests. And if he doesn't agree with you, he's gonna tell you, and he expects that from you. But he's been so successful because he's found a method and a way to do things, and he hasn't strayed from that. He learns from every single practice. Not only we learn, he learns also, and he's very dynamic in that regard.
That's awesome, and I'm guessing through everything you've been through the last few years, Kyle, I'm sure he's been right there on your cell phone trying to keep your head right.
Yeah, he's not very tech savvy when it comes to the cell phone. So whenever I see him in person, I make sure every time I come home, even for a week or a weekend, I make sure I connect with Cozart, just go maybe meet him out for a beer, just go and hang out at practice. And he just chats my ear off like nothing happened. And, it kind of brings me back down to earth that, he was always there for me in the beginning. I have such a great support system with my family, my friends, and especially Cozart. I spent every weekend with him, practically every day with him. And for him to just, not baby me or sit there and be like, oh, are you okay? How are you doing? Like, even when I was wrestling and I wasn't doing as well as what I wanted to do, I would come home and he would still be like, oh, well, like, he would ask me like stuff, are you doing this right? Or you working hard and stuff like that. And, he would always have his ear for me too. He would let me talk to the team as much as I want and kind of communicate with them that everyone needs to listen to Cozart. There's a reason why great people have came out, great high school wrestlers have came out of Cozart. It's not magic. We didn't just wake up one day and become good. So
that's awesome. So I'm glad you came in, Kevin, because my next question was for Kyle was talk about your relationship with your brother Kevin, what that's meant to your growth in wrestling, and to be in the same family. And you guys had 10 Florida State championships, 2 of 5. It's got to be tremendous. I know I asked Kevin what was what was a better feeling, his 5th or your 5th, and he quickly said your 5th. So that says a lot about your relationship. So talk a little bit about that, and then of course I'm sure he's been right by your side through everything that's been going on.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Me and Kevin used to never get along. I'm going to start straight off with that. We used to fight all the time in the living room. I would get home from school. He would get home from school. The parents wouldn't get home, and we would just sit there and brawl with each other in the living room. And that was just because I wanted to be the big fish in the small pond, but he was the big fish in the small pond, and so he quickly checked me into my place. But no, me and him, I always wanted to build off him. I always, sought out there for his approval. So if he didn't, especially in the wrestling world, if I wasn't doing as well as I thought, he made sure to let me know. And so that, humbled me. I'd go in there, I'd wrestle him no matter what. I remember when he first came back and I was wrestling up at Tech, and he came back in the room and he was beating our starting 141. I wrestled with him, and he hasn't done a day of cardio in, 3 weeks. And he comes in there and he beats the crap out of the starting 125, the 33, and the 41. And you're like, what is he doing? Like,
he said, I forget what club he's been going to down there. He told me.
I was training in my own ways.
Yeah.
But Kevin said he's been working at a club helping the kids out before we got into a pandemic. But he said the kids were challenging him a little bit, and he was like, "Be careful! I still got this. I still got a little fire in me."
They haven't even felt it yet.
Who was it? I forget what interview I had. I've talked to some state champs from this year. Is it the Basiles that are in your?
Yeah, I wrestled with Ethan before I started at Jesuit. I wrestled with Ethan a good amount too. So he's a guy that I kind of have to turn it up a little bit to wrestle with. He's getting pretty good. But
yeah, that's the one that said it. He said, "Yeah, I've been rolling with him a little bit." I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's just, yeah. I mean, he's like Kevin does. I don't know how he does it. He's just able to come in the wrestling room and beat on, some of the best kids ever, even after taking multiple days off. It's pretty impressive. I give it to him.
So, and I think to kind of build off that is, watching Kyle help me also develop as a wrestler a lot, especially when I stepped away, because you look at the sport differently. You look at it more as a student, right? You study, you kind of study it more. When you're competing and you're in the grind of a D1 season, I mean, you take time to watch film, you do private lessons with your coaches and that kind of stuff. But when you're not competing and you don't have to worry about making weight, you don't have to worry about really anything except just kind of something you're passionate about, which I still was, coaching, and that kind of revealed to me that I still loved it. So I was able to kind of watch Kyle and offer Kyle pointers, and instead of like being worried about what move I'm going to do next. I was watching Kyle and kind of breaking it down and thinking, what if here, what if there. So that's why I recommend to a lot of kids, even if they're hurt, show up to practice and coach a little bit and just help out the kids that aren't as good as you, or bounce ideas off the better guys in your room, because that's really how, you grow as a wrestler. There's the saying, like, if you can teach it, you've pretty much mastered it. So teaching it, I think, really helps you, iron out your basic skills, and it really reinforces it in your head, some of those techniques, instead of just drilling it 500 times.
Yeah, and how much did it help you to kind of have that rabbit to chase, Kyle? I mean, you obviously were Kevin's little brother, right, your whole life. So I'm sure, expectations were high. And talk about, do you think you would have been as good or became as good as you were if you didn't have that expectation?
I'm definitely gonna say I would not have been as good as I was if I didn't have that chase. It was motivation. Every single day you asked Kevin, was watching my fifth state champion better than his own? Watching him win his fifth was better than me winning my first or my second. And it's just something that's like, you get to see there and you get to realize it's like, wow, that really just happened.
How many weight classes apart were you guys?
So having that rabbit chase was definitely good.
Apart.
You were always pretty far away, so it wasn't like
Yeah.
it wasn't like you had to come to the mat next, so you had to like.
No. High school, we were what? Like when we were on the same team, I think we were at least 3 or 4 weights apart.
Oh, so you guys had time to kind of cool off before.
Yeah.
I talked to the twins, and they're 1 weight apart, and it was like.
That's brutal. That's brutal, man. Yeah. I don't know how I wouldn't watch. To be honest with you, I wouldn't watch.
Yeah, like he said, the heavier one said it's tough to, like coach would have to grab me and be like, okay, you focus. Forget that just happened.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. That's brutal. They're tough.
So do your parents like have all 10 like in glass at home somewhere?
To be honest, no. I don't even know where Kevin's are, and I think we only have like 3 of my individual ones, and the rest are the team trophy ones, and that's all we really have.
That's awesome.
To be fair, I mean, they've got this like little game room shrine area where he's hung up like pictures, and like he's, instead of like the medals and the brackets, he's got a picture of each celebration that we had for each title, and I'm above, Kyle's below, and each year, he's got those rolled out. Yeah, with like some of the other awards, but
you guys,
they do a good job.
You guys have a stud right now at Virginia Tech, right? I think is it Micah?
Makai, yeah, he's a returning champ. Kyle, you know Makai more.
Oh yeah, Makai's my good friend.
Yeah. When I was doing some research to come on, not just for you, but I have Bruschetta coming on at 5.
Yeah, Nick Bruschetta. He's the man.
So the research kind of crossed paths, because when I pulled up the Nordstrams and I pulled up him, it was kind of a lot of the same path.
Yeah.
Ohio and Florida, but then you guys kind of met at Cal.
Yeah. He was the reason I went to Tech, pretty much. He was my host. And then we lived together for 2 years. Once I moved out of the dorms in his last 2 years. So he's a big part of why I was a Hokie, am a Hokie.
Cool.
Why Kyle's a Hokie now.
Yeah, which leads me to my next question. Choosing Virginia Tech. What obviously your brother was there, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. I'm sure you had a lot of looks, just like I spoke to your brother and he had some looks. Other than your brother being there, which it's kind of hard to get past that. But yeah. What made Virginia Tech the right place for you?
Just the community. It's you can't find it anywhere else, honestly. The team, the coaches and the team, how I just felt such at home right away. I went up there and I was young. I think I was might have been a freshman going to my sophomore year. And I just went up there to roll around with the guys for a weekend during the summer. And just how quickly they were to just adapt me to be on the team, because Kevin was on the team. And they didn't treat me like I was just somebody else. They treated me like I was a part of the team. I didn't even commit. And that always meant something to me. Like, they all are great people. That's where I first really met Ty Walsh, who's a coach now, and how I'm so close with a lot of the other guys, a lot of the older guys, is because I spent a lot of time talking with them and hanging out with them, and just how quickly they were to accept me onto the team. And it's not like you had to go and do something. It's just, you were a part of the team, and it's like, hey, we're all going to grow. Like, we would wake up they would make sure I wake up at 6 a.m. We would all go work out at 6 a.m. And then, just how quickly it was to be put into that was nice.
That's cool. What it mean to, did you get to spend any time there while he was there wrestling, or were you already gone when he got there?
Kevin was gone when I got there. Well, he was still at Tech, but he wasn't wrestling. So.
Yeah, and then I rejoined for the back end of his freshman year.
My redshirt freshman year.
You got some time together. That had to be special.
We weren't in the same lineup though. He was redshirting.
Oh, he was a rookie.
Yeah, he was a rookie.
He was I wasn't a big fan of it, because I was a 25 pounder, and I would roll around every once in a while with the 41 pounder. And the next thing you know, my brother comes walking in, and I don't want to wrestle with him, so I know what's going to happen. Everyone else doesn't know my style. And so everyone else is a little bit, hesitant. Kevin knows exactly what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go. So, I would go there and I'd wrestle him, and Kevin's beating the crap out of me. And my coach was like, hey, you got to fight back. I'm like, dude, he knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I will say that first week back, I came back in a little bit better shape than they thought I would. And the coaches were not happy with the guys.
No, they were not.
Yeah, I guess you don't. I'm learning by being a part of this community now. You can have I'm seeing that without the cardio or without being in shape, the skill set can be different.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I had Brendan Abden on, and I asked him what was the difference. I think it was his 9th grade year when he lost it to his sophomore year where he won it, or freshman to sophomore year. And he said the difference is I ran 2 miles every day this year. And I was like, that's the difference? He goes, that's the difference. I committed myself running 2 miles every day, so I was always fresh on the mat, so I didn't lose my senses. I didn't lose. And then I had, and on the other spectrum of that, I had Machiavelli on here from NC State, which I'm sure you guys know well, in ACC competition. And I said, what happened to you? Kind of sucked your freshman and sophomore year, right? And he rightfully admitted it. He was like, yeah. I was like, what changed? He goes, I was always in better shape. I was always in great shape, but I had to work on my wrestling IQ. I didn't understand. I didn't see the moves coming. I didn't understand kind of what was happening next. So he changed his IQ, and the next thing, you know what happened after that, right?
Well, like, basic skills are always going to win, man. And that goes back to the thing of, that's all Cozart really taught. That was his specialty, is he was a master at the basic skills. And he made sure you were a master at the basic skills. My senior year was doing the same drills as the brand new kid that we pulled in out of the hallway. So it wasn't so much he taught you the basic skills and then he wasn't going to teach you more, is he taught you the basic skills and then allowed you to develop as your own wrestler and your own style and develop moves that work for you, right? There's people that left Brandon that got upset because they didn't think Russ was coaching high-level technique. Well, you had guys before us that were going on D1. They're winning the, they went to the Ironman. They took second at the Ironman. Russ did his job of making sure you had an absolute solid foundation, and then you could develop into a wrestler. And when you say grow your wrestling IQ, that's what that is you go back and you really crack down every position and you break it down technically to where you master the basics.
Then when you start to fill in as a, like when you hit puberty and you start to get the muscle and the strength and the power, that
Exactly.
kind of starts to click. Like Daniel was 0-30, and then he kind of made a step this year. And then I remember talking to coaches this year. They said, well, he's still only 14, he's still young. Wait until he fills out and wait until his power meets his IQ. You're going to see, that's when you're going to see him kind of take another step. So,
yeah.
Well, you can kind of see, because me and Kevin did the exact same drills for the exact same years and have different styles, completely different styles. Me and Kevin drilled and practiced thousands and thousands of times, and our styles are completely different. We're completely different wrestlers, but we're both from the same coach. We both had the same, Kozart wasn't teaching me different moves than Kevin. I mean, I kind of wish he taught me the secret move.
You were learning different moves because you were like, well, if I wrestle like him, he's just going to continue to kill me.
Yeah. So I mean, I had to change something up.
Yeah. So now let's transition a little bit. Talk about, obviously you get to Virginia Tech, you start to wrestle. I think I saw where you had a redshirt year, and then the next year you started to compete. You qualified for NCAAs, and then you hit a brick wall. Kind of got injury happened, which I learned from your brother, because I was like, hey, how's your brother doing wrestling there? He's like, oh, you don't know. I'm like, oh. So he had me a little bit on what not how it happened or when it happened, just that it happened. So talk about your injury a little bit. If you want to get into what took place to become injured, that's fine. If not, I don't care. Totally up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. And then let's talk about how you're doing today, how you feel today. Obviously, you're not competing at a collegiate level, but do you feel like you can get some roles in? Are you still going out to the room and trying to help coach them a little bit and get with the kids? How does it feel, I guess, to be walking again and breathing again and being in a situation where you can, life is a breath of fresh air. So.
Yeah. So my redshirt sophomore year, I definitely was having my struggles that year. I was cutting way too much weight. I was never the biggest guy, but I don't think that necessarily defines how much weight a person should cut. I wasn't the strongest guy, but also 5'7", and I'm 23 years old. I don't think, a 23-year-old athlete should weigh 125 pounds. Mentally and physically, that does stuff to you. So I just wasn't wrestling at my full potential. I was more worried about stepping on the scale, making sure that I beat that opponent first, the scale. And then after that, it's like, oh, now I have to wrestle. And so I had a lot of ups and downs with that. I bumped up and wrestled 33 once because our starter was sitting out, and I ended up winning that match. And some reason, I was like, maybe I should stay up and just sit this year. And we got talked into going back down. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And I actually got I think it was my 4th or 5th concussion in December that put me out for a month. And then coming back in, so coming back in, then I was just practicing, got put on my neck weird, had like kind of the dude popped up the middle, he had both my arms trapped and kind of took me back and landed straight on my head, and I basically went limp. I had hot chills going straight down my back. So our trainer rushed over, put me in a neck brace, sent me to basically the emergency room to get CAT scan, MRI, all these things. And we looked at it. I had a herniated disc in my neck that was pushing against my spinal cord, which was causing a lot. And it looked like it shifted backwards a little bit more into it. So I had it was calcified too. So it was, there's nothing they can do. They couldn't give me steroid shots or anything because it was calcified over time. And so they asked me, like, what do you want to do? And I wanted to keep wrestling, but I think it was smart that I talked to.
Wants to do, right?
I was like, no, I just let me sit out this year and rest, and I'll come back. And they're like,
He's
I
gonna
don't think that's a
we'll
smart.
be out there.
Yeah. They're like, I don't think that's a smart idea. And so, yeah, just a lot of talks with my family and my coaches, and just decided, I was like, you know what, let's call it. And then basically the doctor said, he's like, all right, so you're done wrestling. He goes, let's talk about surgery. Do you want to do it? I was like, well, like, how urgent is it? And he goes, like, if you slip and fall or get whiplash, it could cause a lot more severe like things. Like, it could paralyze me from the neck down. So instantly I was like, yes, let's do the surgery. Like, I can't control the uncontrollables. And so I opted for surgery, and I went in, everything was fine. You know, I still in wrestling, I still hang around with the team, and just like I would still show up to practice and drill and all that. So I thought everything was going fine, and put on a few pounds, which was nice. And then I woke up out of surgery. Within 30 minutes, I couldn't open my hands or close my hands. They were like stuck in a C shape. And so I was like, okay, I just had neck surgery, no big deal. Next thing you know,
Kevin, were you there through all this at the hospital?
No,
just my mom.
no, they did this up in Virginia, unfortunately. So we were kind of hoping they would do it down here, but we'd rather probably have the school pick up the tab for that.
Yeah, it's a little bit too late to talk about that. But
Yeah.
no, my mom was up there with me, and
Your hand
yeah,
open.
I couldn't open my hands, so like you're not supposed to eat a lot after your surgery, and at this time it's like 3:00 in the afternoon, and they tell you not to eat at all from 12 to your surgery time. So I'm hungry, and they gave me ice cream, so, and I couldn't put my ice cream thing down, and I wasn't freaking out. I was like, okay, I just had neck surgery, like,
And you got ice cream.
yeah, I had ice cream, so it wasn't like too crazy. And then next thing you know, I couldn't feel like my feet, I couldn't move them. And then I would say it all happened within like 15 minutes. It went from my knees to my hips, all the way up to my chest, and it was hard to breathe. Like, I was straight paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't lift up my legs. They were, touching me with the scalpel, pulling my leg hair, lifting up my leg, dropping it. And I had paralysis. I was paralyzed from the neck down. And so they were trying to set me up. So the minute they didn't figure it out, but the minute they were like, okay, we got to, do surgery again. We got to do this. They're like, well, we should probably get an MRI. And they're like, okay, let's see if we can get one. They were kind of getting worried. It was taking too long for the MRI people to get back to them. So they were about to rush me straight into the surgery room. But luckily, right as I was getting wheeled out, the MRI lady's running down the hall saying, no, we can take them. So I get my MRI. They see that I have a hematoma in my neck pressing against my spinal cord that's dripping into my spinal cord. And so that's what's causing the paralysis. And they said that if they just would have operated, they would have known that it dripped into my spinal cord, and I would have been paralyzed for the rest of my life. So I was 10 seconds away from forever.
If they didn't take you back into surgery at the time they did.
No, MRI. So they had to take me in to get the MRI to see that they had blood in my spinal cord.
Boom, right to the knife.
Yep, they were thinking about doing that because they couldn't get contact with the MRI people, and they're like, we just got to operate. And luckily, that lady came running down the hall screaming, "We can fit him in!" And so
God was looking out for you there, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a moment where the thing was they were telling me all this stuff when I woke up, and it took me a while to understand what really happened because I wake up. I go back into surgery around like 6. I don't wake up till I think I get out of surgery around like 12 or something like that. I don't wake up till 3 in the morning, and Coach Tony Roby's in my room, in my like recovery room with my mom and our team chaplain and my trainer, and they're standing there looking at me, and I'm like, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't even know what's going on. And so they're like telling me all this stuff.
They rushed you in there, fixed that. You came back out. When you woke up, What was the first thing you did? Try to
I had no idea what was going on. I woke up and it was like I knew that. So they woke me up in the middle of the surgery to test my legs to see if my legs worked. And I remember this. I remember them waking me up, like pulling me out of anesthesia and going like, can you move it? Like push against my hand. They had their hand on my foot. And I was like, oh, I'm fine. And then like, okay. And the next thing you know, boom, I'm out again. Like once they got the resistance, they put me right back under and they could try to fix it. They tried to fix everything else. So I woke up at 3 a.m. and I was like, I didn't even know that my left hand didn't work at the moment because I was just like, I was more like in shock. I was like, what? Like, is this a bad dream? Like, what just happened?
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, Kevin, so you're home, right? You're not even up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Dad and I are home, and it's the wee hours of the night.
How the hell are you getting through your day? How the hell is your mind even functioning when you know baby brother's going through this?
Yeah, it wasn't an easy couple hours for us. It was Dad and I at home because, like we said, it was around midnight, and then everyone just kind of went dark. The surgery room just goes dark. They're not worried about keeping us up to date. They're all busy operating on Kyle. So, it's a routine neck surgery he's going in for, and then the next call you get is we have to rush him back into emergency surgery, and we don't get an update for 4 or 5 hours, which is like
you just went on. You're at the poster and you just
yeah, that was bad. That was pretty bad, and we were up till 2 a.m. and then we got the call that he was I guess conscious or he's out of surgery. So. And then the next couple hours, you get 2 or 3 hours of sleep. You wake up and you hear he's starting to move around a little bit, and then you're like, that's that. But those couple hours that was tough.
So, at what point did you guys finally make it up to you and Dad?
I had to stay home and watch the dogs, and also stay at work. And my dad flew up Kyle, like that. He got a flight.
Right on. Yeah, he caught the first flight he could.
Yeah, we got the first flight there.
So now, are you fully capable of? I know you're not competing at a college level, but could you?
No, I still don't. So I'm still dealing with nerve damage in my spine. So my left hand still doesn't work all the way. I would say it's probably at like a 30-40% movement, but like no strength in it. Also, like my triceps are really weak. Like it affected. Like I probably have a good 7-8 inch scar on my back from where they cut me open and they had to shave. It's called a laminectomy. They had to shave off my part of my spine and detach my muscle and some ligaments to access the spinal cord. And it affected my whole like upper body extremities. My triceps are weak. My pecs are weak. I kind of lost a lot of upper body strength.
Are you starting to get back into the gym or do some weightlifting again?
Yeah, so I'm like just doing the bare minimum. They don't want me to do anything crazy because
Right.
well for a while they told me that I'm never allowed to wrestle again. So that kind of was a bummer.
Do you see yourself, maybe you and Kevin? I know from talking with your brother how important wrestling is to you guys and how important education is to you guys. Do you see yourself ever becoming a coach? Maybe you and your brother being in a room, having a club, or being a college coach where you can put a lot of your views, Kevin, and your views into place. Do you think you'll ever be back around the sport in that kind of capacity?
Oh yeah. So when I came down for Christmas break, I wrestled with the Brandon Wrestling guys and I wrestled with the Jesuit guys with one hand. And it was, let me tell you, like when you wrestle without having the use of one hand, it's challenging. But
he was still whooping these kids though.
He was still getting them?
Yeah.
One hand.
I was beating a lot of the kids in the room, which was pretty impressive. And
no, that's an understatement, dude. These kids didn't have a chance. He was whooping them.
There's a kid out there that I saw. I want to say he advanced the states, and he's in 1A. I need to find him because he really impressed me. He was blind.
Wow.
absolutely blind. I watched him
Yeah.
at tricks. Huh? Yeah, blind. I watched him at Regions, and I talked to the coach at Regions. He's like, what I love the most about him is he doesn't know what the kids around him are doing. So everything he does at 100%, you say push, and he'll do push-ups until he hears stop because he can't see the kids cheating next to him, like stop and down, and just real strong. And it was cool to kind of see the crowd at regionals, and I believe states kind of root for him, like to see this kid coming out and doing that. So obviously one arm. This kid was blind. Like it's crazy how they start like this. I don't know if you guys ever wrestled a blind kid.
Yeah.
They have to hold their hand. You got to stay touching with them. So
it's interesting.
One hand. But they said there was a kid with one hand that Coach Cipriano called locked hands on, and the referee Mike said, he's like, I never did that. That wasn't true. He grabbed it up. He's like, I didn't call locked hands on him.
That's tough, but that's funny.
So that'll be good. So you won't be able to ever compete at a high level again, but you'll be able to be a damn good coach and be able to still be around the sport and contribute.
Oh yeah. So like I said, I was in December. I was down for Christmas break, and I was just wrestling with the guys, and I came back up, and they took another MRI because it was just kind of a routine MRI, and the doctor said, "Oh, like what'd you do?" And because I had some more weakness going on, and so that's a bad sign when you start getting weaker. Like, oh, okay, let's get an MRI, and they're like, okay, yeah, you probably shouldn't wrestle ever again. And I was like, sweet. So
here you are wrestling.
Yeah. So I was like, I kind of thought about it. I was like, wow, they'd probably have been mad if they were around me this whole Christmas break.
My dad had he was a police officer for 30 years, and there was several occasions where he had neck injuries, and then he broke his neck once where they had a halo on, and then last straw was he got into a truck. Somebody hit him when he was in his truck running a red light. So the doctor told him the same thing, kind of, you can't do this, can't do that. Of course, he's a big Irish stubborn guy, 6'4". He's still doing whatever he wants to do.
That's exactly what I was like. It was they're telling me, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, and I'm like, come on, do you even know who I am? And then it's like
mentality isn't built that way. So, well, that's awesome, man. I'm really happy to see that you're up and moving, and I know I was talking a little bit. So, talk a little bit. I know Kevin touched on it when we spoke. I know you've been back in the rooms. It sounds like when you came down. Where have you seen Florida wrestling get to? I know you guys have been around it since you were 5 years old, or 5 and 2, and where you see it today. And I know, like Kevin said, and a lot of people said, our top 3 or 4 from each weight class can compete and win anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
But where have you seen the depth of Florida wrestling get to, as far as where it is now from where it came from?
Yeah. I mean, from watching and like growing up through it and watching other people wrestle at states to where, I see who the state champs are now. And like we talked about earlier, how people are transferring and they're going on to, win Ironman or the national, the preps or whatever. And you're like, those guys they don't transfer to these places and they're not showing secret moves, they're just, those kids are learning to develop their own skills and they're just getting better exposure. I've always thought Florida was a tough state. It's just that no one really, it's kind of the Florida group. We never gave credit to ourselves. We never gave our chance because we're like, oh, we're in Florida. We don't have, the PA depth or the Ohio depth, but you're like, we still have great kids. We have kids that, are 1 or 2 state champs that go on to be top 10 in the country in NCAAs. And it's, it's not all about how many state championships you can win. Sadly, I wish it was. It was more or less of, the mindset and the growing of Florida wrestling. And I think we're heading in the right direction. I know this was a big discussion with the Lake Highland Prep going to the Prep Slam or whatever it's called. And I agree with it. I agree with Palazzo. You're taking Florida kids, you're taking them to a national tournament, and they're getting more exposure. And the way I look at it is, imagine your kid beats a Lake Highland Prep kid, and then that kid goes and wins nationals.
Yeah, and, from what I understand too, we're going to get, I think it was Abden or Basile or one of the state champions from this year I spoke to. Now they've already been told that Blair Academy is coming down here for a tournament. So you're going to start to see these teams come in. And then I think hopefully, it's like, and I got to be careful because I know the discussion, but so Lake Highland Prep is becoming a prep school now. It's becoming a national prep school.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the discussion, why do we lose all these kids to colleges? Because we don't have a D1 program.
Yeah.
So hopefully now by having a prep program in the state of Florida, maybe the Florida kids will stay home. I'm not, and there's been coaches that have said they may end up going to Lake Highland Prep, or they may end up staying with us and now have the opportunity to wrestle in those tournaments or those open tournaments that the prep schools are going to be in, and now you're competing and you're getting seen by those colleges around the country. So
here's the thing is, like, I don't know who's coming down. I think, is it Blair? One of the big schools is coming down, right? But we have to get to a point where we make it worth their while, right? Like, if we hold this tournament, we got to have most of like the good teams there, and the kids have to be good. They got to be worth something. These Blair guys travel all year, wrestle the best guys. Yeah, they could come to Florida and hit the beaches and beat up on some Florida kids, but we've got to make it worth their while, right? We have to be able to compete with them. So we can't blame, I don't think this is the case, but we can't blame other states for not wanting to come here, but because why would they travel all the way down to Florida to when the competition isn't as good as the neighboring state? So the Florida
because they're not getting, because that tournament needs to get the top schools in the state to be there.
Yeah, and we've got to kind of work together to get everybody on the same page, and I think the Knockout's doing a pretty good job at that. They're really attracting.
So
slowly.
what you're saying is, if you get these prep schools down, we need to have, obviously Lake Highland Prep is a prep school now, so you need to have them. You need to have American Heritage, Somerset,
Yeah,
South Dade, Brandon, Lake Gibson.
but you know what else is a problem we kind of ran into when we were at Brandon is sometimes schools don't want to come down and get beat by Florida guys, right? They don't. You don't want a middle of the road Jersey team come down and get spanked by a South Dade or spanked by a Brandon or a Lake Highland Prep. They don't want that. They would rather get spanked by a rough and tough Jersey guy or a PA guy or an Ohio guy. So that you can't justify getting beat by some beach kid, right? Like we've run into problems with that, and we used to get
Take it personally.
they used to get mad at us because we couldn't travel, because Brandon didn't travel much. But the FHSAA only allowed us to go to one out of state tournament and one bordering state tournament. So there's not much we could do. We did the Fargo thing, we did Super 32, we did junior duels, we did everything. But FHSAA just did not allow us to travel. So these teams didn't want to come down and get their ass kicked by Florida kids. So we're like in this weird,
Which is one of the main reasons why Palazzo chose to go the prep route, is because what's going on with FHSAA.
He should have. He should have done it a while ago, man. He's been national prep caliber for 6 years now, right? And
Coach.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to go on and do bigger things like that, man. He doesn't need to be, doing the same thing, because I think it was like 2 years ago he had his entire team go up at the state series, like go up a weight. I think Silva went up two weight classes. Like, can't be having that. Like, they need to go on and give us some exposure and get Florida. We need a little bit more recognition so teams aren't they're not so embarrassed when they come down here and lose to some Florida kids. And it'll just give us a little bit more notoriety that we need, a little bit more.
It might motivate other programs too to really pick up the pace and see a Florida team go out there and be able to compete with some of the best teams in the country. It's like, hey, why are they different than us?
Well, maybe we'll start to see the other prep schools in our state make the transition when they start to get to a level where they feel like they can compete consistently. You also don't want to just enter it and get smoked, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. They got to go up there and they got to compete. If Lake Highland chooses to go up there and, I hate to say some shit to bed, that won't look good. But I doubt that's going to happen. Plazo's, a great coach, a great dude, and I'm sure they're going to go up there, going to do fine, and people are going to realize like, oh, like or Florida might be the real deal. Like Lake Highland Prep is the real deal. And stuff like that. And
so to follow up with you, Kevin, a lot of, I don't know if you've been watching the episodes with the college coaches.
I've tuned into some, yeah.
But you'll notice that my main question since talking to you has been about the education. So I hope that the advice that you gave is obviously out there, but I hope that the questions I'm asking are the ones that you wanted asked. So
yeah, I think you're doing a good job. And I was going to mention that too. I had a couple college athletes reach out to me, and I had one kid from Hofstra reach out to me, and I put him in touch with. He's up there. Hofstra's up there in Long Island, which is I think 30 minutes outside of the city. I put him in touch with a CFO of a company and an investment banker, making connections for him. Like that's really all it takes is these kids that they realize like I can do both, right? I can succeed on the mat, I can succeed in the classroom, and ultimately I need to succeed after I graduate. So, it's good. And I hear the college coaches, right, where they say academics is important, right? We have good team GPA, but like I said, is good grades is not everything anymore, right? You have to have work experience if you want a decent job at a college. So it needs to go beyond, we make sure our kids have good grades. Well, if your kid gets a good grade in the easiest major in the school, like it's you could say your kid's got good grades, right? It's more than just our kids are dedicated in the classroom. It's we're doing something, or we're providing an opportunity for these kids to do something after school, not try to compete with the broader audience and compete with the student body that has the same grades and also has done an internship or two. So that's, I'm telling you, it's important.
One really cool thing that I heard, Kevin, was Coach Plisker. I hope I didn't screw that up, Coach. Sorry if I did, but it's like PLIZSCZZKCS.
Oh, yeah.
He's up at Lawrence, I believe it was. And he said that we don't care if you're the greatest wrestler or whatever that's come through our room. Your accolades are not recognized and put up on the wall or on a banner until you graduate.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you have to get your degree before we will recognize you. That doesn't mean we don't appreciate you. That doesn't mean we don't love you. That doesn't mean any of that. But it means that we want you to know that both are important. And
I want you to finish what you start.
Yeah, and I'm glad you put me on that track, because obviously every show I learn a new importance to people in what they want wrestling to create. So that's the question that I ask coaches now on the college level is how do you adapt both? How do you make sure both are being done? And we've heard study tables. I'm sure you've heard that. We've heard there was one, and I don't remember, it might have been Princeton and Cornell, obviously a different level, right?
Yeah.
But,
I listened to Ayers. Ayers was a good one.
Yeah, so they have, they make sure that kids are going out and they advocate, hey, if you need to go work during the summer, or we need an internship or some sort of residency or whatever you're doing, let us know. We'll even help you find somewhere to be and go. So there are some people out there that are doing it. And I think that, I don't think when you brought this up that you thought nobody was doing anything about education. I think nobody was saying, hey, what are you doing about education? And I think nobody was making it aware where kids can actually choose a college to wrestle at now based on where they're going to get a better education at is what
No, I listened to Ayers, and hearing that was good, because one, a degree from Princeton's a little different than most degrees, right? Like you said, I agree. I think his kids have it up, and they've got it tough, and I think it helps to his recruiting You know, I heard the part where he says we kind of try to scare kids off because we want you to know that wrestling's going to be hard. You know, obviously they're doing exceptionally well on the mat now, but you're also going to be challenged academically. And I don't know if he realizes it, but going on and helping these kids get jobs, that's what's going to really sign the recruits you want, right? And this all goes back to, you know, the economy of wrestling has to grow. It's got to make more money, and you're going to do that by getting wrestlers to make more money, ex-wrestlers to donate and have them make more money. That's pretty much, you're not going to, like I said, you're not going to go out and sell foam fingers. You're not going to put on these events that mimic UFC kind of stuff. That's not going to get new viewership. You need the sport to make more money. You need more people with higher incomes to get involved and donate more. And that's where we're at. And the Princeton team sounds like they're the model program for it, if they really are going on and helping guys get employed. Because
I wanted to ask you that. Did you hear Dubuque too?
Which one?
Did you hear the assistant coach Dubuque?
I didn't listen to his, but he was a hero of mine growing up.
But listening to Chris Ayers, I'm not a wrestler. I mean, I was an athlete in other sports, but I was good enough to play in high school, but not to go further.
Mm-hmm.
But, did you guys not want to like jump through the TV and go wrestle for him? Like, isn't he just full of like?
He's doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, how hard is Kevin on you, Kyle, academically wise?
Oh, he makes sure that I keep my grades up. He probably asks me more than my parents, and he'll probably call me once a week, and you know, we don't have long conversations on the phone. It's probably a short 3-minute conversation, and hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. Well, no, how are your grades? And it's like, and it's bad because, well, I don't want to say it's bad, it's good, but I feel bad if I let him down. If I'm like, oh, because I remember I got like a 78 on a finance exam, and he goes, you got to get that up. And I'm like, come on, man. Like,
that's like my wife with my kids. I'm like, to a dummy like me, I'm like, he's got a B, honey.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, man, you're tough. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's always good to have somebody that keeps you grounded in that kind of sector. And that's why hearing about that Princeton coach, that's awesome. That's great for the program to shine light on that part of it, to where it's like, hey, there's more than just wrestling in your life. There's academics, and because there's a small percentage that people actually become successful with just being wrestlers their whole life. And then at what level does it stop? You know, and then what are you going to do after that? You haven't used your degree in 10, 15 years. How are you going to get a job that way? Are you going to just run a kids club?
And let's be real, what percentage of, you know, college athletes are Spencer Lee or Yanni, you know, that are going to go on?
It's such a small percentage. Yeah.
Right? I mean, what's that? Remember that old NCAA commercial? Like 95% of us are going to go on to do something in life. That's cool. So you had people reach out to you that are doing business with you now from the.
I had some kids reach out and just ask for some advice, maybe make some connections.
Working.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then I had like some of my work colleagues, like they saw it on LinkedIn and they're like, yeah, I just was going to tune in for the first couple minutes, and they watched the whole hour and they were like, I don't know anything about wrestling, but it makes perfect sense.
You couldn't stop. Like I told your brother, I was like this. And then you stopped like halfway through it and you're like, do you have any questions for me? I'm like, nope.
Oh, just keep going.
Yeah.
So I got 10 questions. I've been trying to do this better, Kevin, since I had you. I've been trying to adjust it more towards, I started last week to try to put questions in here kind of geared to that person's surroundings and like, you know, like if you're from, I had a lady from Australia the other day, and I had to figure out what like Australian food was. I had no idea, so I had to kind of.
Vegemite.
That's what I've been trying to do. So, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, Busch Gardens or Universal Studios?
Ooh. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Well, this is a little bit unfair because Busch Gardens was a lot closer than Universal, but I think we prefer Universal over Busch Gardens. But Busch Gardens was only a 30-minute hike.
Yeah, I'll say Universal.
Yeah, I'd say Universal.
Because I was a big like Marvel fan, and they had the Islands of Adventures. But dang, that's a good one.
That was a good question.
Okay, so downtown Tampa Bay
Okay,
or downtown St. Pete.
dude.
St. Pete all day. You know.
Well, all right. So I live downtown right now. But I haven't really gotten to get the full experience of walking. So like walking around, walking to bars and stuff, and then walking home. That walking to get food because everything's closed. But I'll go downtown St. Pete.
Yeah, that's growing, right? When I come down, I'm trying to set something up. They haven't been allowed to open yet. The St. Pete Brewing Company, my sister and brother-in-law are partners in that. And but I've had a lot of people reach out on your coast there.
Amen.
And I'm hoping they get open soon, but downtown St. Pete is very strict. So, but when they get open, I'm trying to get out. So Butch Hildebrand, who I had on, reached out again. He's supposed to be coming the week of June 10th to the 14th. He's like, yo, let's go live at the brewing company. So I may try to set something up where, or maybe I go there like that Saturday and I do like an episode every hour or something. And
That'd be awesome.
we have a good time. So I'll let you guys, if you're
Amen.
still in Virginia, then sorry for you, but I know he's down.
I'll make a trip.
All right. All right, here we go. The Tampa Zoo or the Tampa Aquarium?
Aquarium.
Yeah, aquarium.
So I remember taking the kids when they were little. They had like, so the best thing for the parents is the bar right in the middle of the water park.
Mm-hmm.
That's very dope. And then they used to have these live penguins that kind of ran around.
Yeah.
Fun
It just got
fact.
too hot sometimes. The aquarium was like a nice place. It was always so cold in there.
Fun fact. Kevin was actually in the newspaper, and because he was drinking out of a water, like one of the things that come out of the ground when he was like 3 years old at the Lowry Park Zoo.
I love it.
So yeah, he's drinking floor water. What a smart kid.
So you guys have both lived in Virginia and lived in Florida. So who's got better beaches?
Oh, Florida.
Florida. Those
No
beaches
question.
are gross.
Disgusting, huh?
Yeah, Virginia Beach is nasty. It's like the Jersey Shore.
Uh,
So I wrote down this question and then I see what you're wearing.
Yeah.
So, Bucks fan or Lightning fan?
Lightning.
Oh, well, it's always been Lightning because the Bucks you just kind of watch and you're like, like another.
Get about halfway through. and
But
you
now,
can't turn it off.
but I mean, I'm pivoting hard for the Bucks. I'm pivoting hard towards the Bucks this year. I mean, I've always been a Bucks fan, but
Yeah.
you don't do a lot of cheering. You just kind of watch the games. They're always on at 1 o'clock. Like,
Yeah, I've been down to the stadium a few times. My aunt was really good friends with somebody who knew the owner or the owner's kid or something. So I got to take the kids out on the field once, and that was pretty cool.
yeah.
Stadium gets so hot. I don't know why they don't have like any overhangs where like, I mean, they expect people to be out there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you know.
Yeah, because we don't get primetime
It
games.
is 93, 94 degrees outside.
Yeah.
All right, I tried to look for some stuff, and I found this, and it's in the Virginia Tech area.
Okay.
Mikados or lefties?
Lefties.
Alisters or lefties?
Lefties. Dude, Lefties has got a brewery too, right?
Yeah, they make their own beer.
That's it.
Lefties it. Okay. Tubing the New River Junction or biking the Huckleberry Trail?
Oh, it's tubing. We
Tubing.
run the Huckleberry Trail way too many times. I don't want to go back on.
And I hate doing that outdoor stuff of like hiking and biking and stuff. I'd rather just float and hang out.
We ran the Huckleberry Trail in the summer probably.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears on the Huckleberry Trail. Those are some of the hardest runs because you're in elevation already. You're like kind of in the mountains, and it's there's no flat surface. Like
So that's like Virginia Tech's version of like I talked to Ryan LeBlanc at App State, and he takes the kids and makes them run up the mountains.
probably it's like the same thing, but it's not straight up. It's like constant, and your calves and your shins just are on fire after every single run.
Okay. Virginia barbecue or Florida barbecue?
Ooh. What do you think, Kyle? I think I gotta go Florida barbecue. There's a place in Ybor that.
Yeah, Virginia's a small college town. They don't have Virginia Tech's a small college town. They don't have great barbecue there. Florida's got some good barbecue.
Yeah, I would say Florida.
Let's see. And then I wrote down Kyle or Kevin.
Ooh, depends. My prime versus his prime. We've had this conversation multiple times. The thing is, me and him were never the same weight class. So the only way it would be would have been like my junior year and his.
Just kind of leaned on you, right?
Yeah, it would have been my junior year and his sophomore year. But I don't know. He's of course going to say him, but
Answer the question, Kyle.
I think me if we were both in our primes.
I wrote down some things for maybe you can help me with when Brisquetta is coming on.
Yeah.
What did I put? I put so he coached in Chattanooga too. So I asked. I wrote down Bettertown, Blacksburg, or Chattanooga.
Dude, Chattanooga is an underrated college town.
Nice. And then I guess he wrestled. He's from Ohio, so I put down like the Buckeyes or Smith cakes or something. I guess it's some sort of desserts.
Right. I'll get some questions for you. I'll shoot them your way.
Yeah, please, because I only wrote here so far. I wrote, talk about he wrestled for Jeff Jordan, so that's kind of legendary.
Yep.
And then same question I asked you guys: what made Virginia Tech the best place for you? And then now he's at Maryland, so obviously I'm going to ask him. Talk about the culture, academics. The same things I asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Shoot me some things to ask him. That would be great because I want to make sure that. Don't tell me here because then he'll know.
No, yeah. We'll blindside him a little bit.
Hey, man, this is so dope. I'm glad you came on, Kevin. It made it definitely really, really fun having kind of both you talk. So, Kevin, you're home. Are you home too, or are you still in Virginia?
Yeah, I'm home. I'm home till August.
Oh, good. So you guys hanging out a bit?
Yeah, we're hanging out a good amount.
I saw Mom the other day. You guys posted.
Yep, hanging out with Mom. We were down. I was down there yesterday with my roommate's parents and my parents. We were all down at. They have a condo in Treasure Island, so we like going down there and hanging out, drinking.
How long are you in town for?
I'm in town till August. I have an internship, so.
Speaking of an internship.
Yeah. So.
Good. Well, so it should happen. If they open up in June, I'm going to reach out and try to set something up down there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sort of live from the brewery, and that'll be fun. If not, then at least we'll just meet there and drink.
I'm there. Multiple.
It's the only place I drink really nowadays. I used to be a really heavy drinker, and then I was found unconscious underneath a car.
Yikes.
So that's when my wife said that you need to please not do that anymore. So,
Yeah.
So we were supposed to go to. I know nobody's going to hear this story because nobody's listening, but we've only reached over 1,000 people already. But we were supposed to go to the mountains in Blue Ridge, or what's that great town, Asheville.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I was unconscious, so we never made it. And after about 2 months, when my wife talked to me again, she said I had to slow down. So really the only place, she'll make me a drink once in a while home, or if we go out to dinner, I'll have like a social drink. But really the only place I really have some drinking ability and freedom that she gives me is at the brewery. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, because those beers are it's like artwork, man. Some of those, takes a lot of time to craft some of those.
Oh, and he does some good beers down there, man. It's funny. I had somebody on and I had the hat on or something, and they were like, "No way, I love their orange wheat." And I'm like, "Oh, you've been there?" That was pretty dope. I was like,
yeah.
I guess if you live on the Gulf Coast and you go to St. Pete, it's become like the next Asheville, for beer.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
It's been pretty dope. Hey guys, we can do this anytime. I'm actually thinking about maybe. I'm having some thoughts about a kind of an Instagram thing. Maybe you see a lot of these guys that'll go live in the morning with someone or during happy hour. So
yeah, I think that's a good idea. I don't know how you how do you how can you link it, you know, where it's like you're live in Facebook and then you're also live on Instagram?
You have to share your profile on Instagram to Facebook.
Well, I think with people seeing me, like all of us together, I have to do this. Now, as far as what I see people do with Facebook and Instagram is when maybe they're doing some sort of live, you know how like Grant Cardone does things where he talks on a board, and so he'll have different cameras set up, phones, and with all the voice. I did look at Restream, and Restream will let me do several platforms at the same time, but there's nothing that lets me do. I can't find something that'll add Instagram. So I've just been told I can go live now through a computer, not on a mobile platform, through my YouTube. So I know that if I transfer to Restream, they'll let me do YouTube and Facebook at the same time. But I have no clue. I have a YouTube channel, and I understand that. And I just finally, please click and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, please like and follow my page on Facebook, by the way, throwing that out there. But, you know, on Facebook, it's, you know, you can share stuff. You can ask people to do stuff. You can share a story. You can share a picture. But I don't know, you can't do that on YouTube unless you have like 10,000 fans or something.
Really?
So I don't know, how do you get your follows or your subscriptions other than talking in other ways? So I haven't figured out that game yet. I know, I guess I need to start going live, and when you're live, that probably builds up your reputation in there. So I am looking at that kind of stuff. This week, I'll at some point this week, I haven't figured out yet, but there will be my 100th wrestling interview.
Wow.
For this. So that'll be cool. Watch me count, and it's you guys. But hey, anytime you guys want to, you know, do this, man, hit me up. We'll jump on, and like I always ask everybody, please throw a review on my new page. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and refer someone to me. You know, I've been in sales my whole life, so I always ask for a referral.
Gotcha, man. I gotcha.
Thanks, guys. You guys take it easy, man. This was really fun.
All right, appreciate it. Always fun.
Yeah.
You guys don't have any other brothers with